But just wanted to introduce myself. I know most of the people in here. I'm Dr. Michael Huang. I'm the Health Center Director for the Samuel Brown Health Center, and this is Felicia Burns, who is our mental health therapist. Um, and she's going to do the majority of the talking today, but I'll go ahead and give kind of the update on the health center, kind of a quick overview. You know, dispel some myths and things about the health center and who we are and what we do. And then Felicia will take over with her talk more aimed at mental health and this thing called the wheel of life and wellness and how we can use the wheel to address some imbalances in our lives and how we can use this blueprint to set goals and find more balance. So most of you who are here know who we are and what we do, but I think it's just a good reminder we're on 125 Lyle Industrial Avenue. So we moved about 3 or 4 years ago from Trade Street, just down Leestown Road a little bit. We're in the same building that Water Quality is. Our hours have changed a little bit over the past year. Now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which are our days with extended hours, we used to be open from 8 to 7, but we decided with the HR that it might make more sense to be open 7 to 6 those days to catch the third shifters coming off work and people that really had to be at work at 8. So we now are open 7 a to 6 p on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We still have Saturday hours, and that's for the main primary care office. Now Felicia has her hours. I don't think she's ever there at 7, so we'll we kind of have three separate practices in the same building there. Actually, four if you count the pharmacy. We have the occupational health that we do. So you all know when you first get hired, if you have to do a drug screen, if you need a pre-employment physical, if you are in the hearing program where you need to get an audiogram every year, if you're a police officer that needs a physical, a firefighter that needs a yearly physical, we do the occupational health for the city. And that's something that the city pays for, takes care of. If you're coming in for an occupational thing, the city will help you schedule that, and we'll do that. There's no self-scheduling for occupational stuff online or anything like that. Similarly, for our mental health, behavioral health, there's not at the current time the ability to self-schedule just because of the complicated nature of, scheduling and initial visits and whatnot, and Felicia's schedule. As of right now, when you want an appointment for behavioral health, you call, and then they'll send her a note, and we'll figure it out. And within 2 business days, we'll get back with you with an appointment for that. So, it's not quite like the primary care. When, if you have the city's insurance and your dependents that have the city insurance that can come here for just your health care, you can schedule those appointments online. A few other things, we get a lot of people who just walk in, and that's fine. We'll see you if we can, but because we have a limited amount of appointments and limited staff, sometimes we're kind of busy, and it's always better to try to call or schedule your appointment online, or just call if you don't see an appointment. And a lot of times we can get you in over the phone where there wasn't an appointment visible online, but just walking in, a lot of times you're gonna wait a little bit. So we prefer people trying to schedule. But the phone number 788-3656, and then the my.marathon-health.com to schedule an appointment if it's a primary care type appointment and not the occupational health. All right. Any questions about the health center or what I've gone through? All right. So May this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, which was established in 19. Are you ready to take this over?
You can keep going. You're doing good. I'll take it after.
But we just figured this would be a good month for our, we used to call her our behavioral health therapist. I think they're changing that to mental health therapist here over the course of the. Yeah, the company has merged with another company. I don't think it's going to change anything for you guys, but we've been talking about names and different things like that. But so Felicia is a therapist. She's not a psychiatrist. You know, there is a difference. You know, she doesn't prescribe medications or anything like that. It's purely talk therapy. She can have you work with us. We are providers. We're not psychiatrists either, but as a a licensed physician and our physician's assistants and nurse practitioners, we do a lot of mental health, and we you know, in cases that aren't too complicated, you know, we do prescribe medications, antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicines. And working with Felicia, we can write the medicines while she helps with the therapy and the talking through things. And, you know, the studies have shown that, you know, what really works. Does medication work? Does counseling work? I mean, they both work. They both work separately, but when used together, I think most of the studies have shown that it works a little better that way too if you need both. So, you know, if you think you're going to go to her and she's going to prescribe you medicines for things, that's not what she does. That's not her job. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you.
I got it from here. Hi, guys. So I'm Felicia, and I, as Dr. Wong said, I'm the licensed therapist. My schedule is pretty chaotic right now. I feel like I'm really booking out for 2 to 3 weeks. It's probably maybe give or take a little bit longer than that. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm in office. Wednesday, I'm virtual. Friday, I'm also in office, but it's my short day. So I'm normally out of the clinic between 1:30 and 2. Aside from that, I feel like, just as kind of piggybacking off what Dr. Wong said, I do not prescribe medication, or do I ever like give what my opinion of the medication that they should be on is. That's definitely out of my scope of practice, so I try really hard to kind of set the boundary to not even go down that rabbit hole. Also, like he said, there's statistics that show us that medication does 40 to 60% of the work. The other 40 to 60% of the work is through therapy, self-care, coping skills, whatever that looks like on your journey of mental health. So, mental health is just one of the important components on the wheel of life that helps promote and establish wellness in each of our lives. Do you want to do the clicker thing? And
Just tell me when.
Okay, when? All right, so this is kind of what the wheel of life looks like. And your wheel of life can look a little bit different, but for the most part, all of these components kind of make up the balances of each of our lives. So the financial and career, mental and emotional, family and home, spiritual and ethical, social and cultural, and the physical and health. And I think that that's really important to remember. I have people that will come in and tell me that maybe their physical health isn't where they want it to be, but it's because their mental health has been in a decline for a while. They play off each other simultaneously. So at some point, all of these components kind of go in hand. So what is the wheel of life and wellness? It is a tool to help you improve your life balance. It helps you quickly and graphically identify the areas in your life to which you want to devote more energy, and helps you understand where you might want to cut back. If you go to the next. So this, in general, this is a tool that offers a 360-degree view of your current life situation. It quickly identifies areas of imbalance and helps you create goals and set priorities based on what you want in life. So each of our wheel can look a little bit different, but along with the components that we just went over, the majority of those, still, anything that we're pretty much going through probably falls in one of those categories, right? Even if it's just maybe you don't feel like you have family support, or maybe financially. I think that there was a part on there as well. So I want you all to take a couple minutes and think about what you would put in your wheel of life for each of these components. I think I gave handouts if you all want to write it in maybe one of the corners. You don't have to write it specifically on that handout. Does everyone have one? Yeah. We, you can if you want to. We're gonna get to kind of where you rate these. So like the 1 through 5, you don't really have to put like priority or not if you just want to jot some things down. Yeah. So the life areas, the roles that you play in your life, which could be a whole, I call these hats. So in therapy, I say that we all have different hats, right? Um, so as of today, my hat that I put on this morning is to come to work and be a therapist. This afternoon, then I'm going to put on the hat to be mom, wife, whatever it is. At some point, I'm sure I'll cook dinner, so I may be chef. It just depends. But we all have different hats that we play, in which that in general is going to also be something that makes up your will of kind of wellness. Um, Areas of life that are important to you, which could also be anything. An area that's really important to me is sports. Maybe yours is different. Maybe you um, prefer the artistic expression. I would say that that would probably not be me. Um, but definitely the positive attitude, career, education, family, friends, financial freedom, physical, or pleasure. Um, and then your will can be made up of any of these or all of them. I think all of us are different and we could be unique and we bring our own uniqueness into our own will of life. So the will of life categories we've kind of already talked about. We have health, so your physical health and well-being, which could also mean the emotional health, the relationships that we have in our life, friends, family, spouse, even coworkers can be a big impact on us. Social, which could also include religious, spiritual communities or other group activities. Um, Financial, obviously, we know that money plays a part of all of our lives. And pretty much the ability to manage or to figure out how we can manage our money more effectively, save money, create a budget, and even invest money. Another one is the professional business. This is our work category, which can break out into the wheel of business. And so I don't know if maybe some of you are like me, but I feel like the majority of my time is at work, unless it's the weekend, of course. But Monday through Friday, the hat that I mainly play or wear is obviously therapist. Personal growth. Although not everyone might have an area of focus for personal development, anyone interested in self-actualization does. And so what are you like, what are we striving for? Obviously we are wanting to be someone, and so what does that look like? What is your 5-year plan? And then spirituality, and this can be its own category or simply the driving force behind all of your areas of focus, and I think that can be whatever you want it to be. So the additional will of life categories is your mental state, which is obviously very important, your attitude, creativity, contribution, lifestyle, and recreation. So assessing your current level of fulfillment. For each of us, that's going to be different. What it takes to fulfill me could possibly be completely different than what it takes to fulfill you or Dr. Wong or anyone else. So just kind of sitting and thinking about what are the areas in your life right now that allow you to feel fulfilled. All right. So now we have another kind of diagram. And this is an example of what your will of life may include. As you can see, it has 8 aspects of life: friends and family, significant other, personal growth, fun, leisure, home environment, career, money, and health. This is what I would like for you to do with this diagram now, is rate how satisfied you are in each of these aspects right now. Um, 0 being that you're not satisfied at all. 10 being that maybe you're very satisfied in whatever these categories are. As you're thinking about rating this, I want you to think about like the current place that you are in life. Maybe not where you were like a couple months ago or last year, but like today specifically. All right. So at this point, I want you, for your will, I want you to rate it and put your numbers just like it is on the screen. So if for health you're feeling 1, then you would put it up there in the corner. Is this how you all feel like your wheel would look? Do you feel happy or satisfied with where you are in some of these categories? If not, that could also be a part of the personal growth that we already talked about is maybe if you put 4 um, in friends and family, then maybe you want to develop a more significant support system. And so then do we create goals from there? And that can definitely be a start. Yeah. So, will you go back one? We have a question. If you briefly analyze your own will of life, how well do you feel like your will would roll? Would it be smooth sailing? Would it be like driving on a street full of potholes? Would it be not too bad, but it could be better? I think we could all probably agree to that one. Unless somebody's life is perfect. I mean, if so, then share all of the things that you're doing with me. Or then would you just not really be sure? Are you not sure maybe where you are and how your will would roll? So now what? Are there any surprises for you as you're looking at your will of life? Is there anything that maybe you really haven't set down or maybe you haven't had time because life is always lifing and we are always trying to figure out what's next. If you're like me, I feel like I'm always in a hurry to get to the next thing or the next place or do the next chore or something. And so, does any of your like ratings really surprise you? I see some no's. No? A lot of no's? Okay. How do you feel about your life as you think about your will? Yeah, yeah. So maybe this is a place for you to like really sit down and say, these are the goals that I want to do in the next 3 months, 6 months, year. Um, Even within that, I think self care is really, really important. As you even like do this activity as an example, sometimes this could be discouraging. And so when you really have to sit and think about where you are, but where you want to be, making sure that you still find time to pour in goodness into you. So whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's massages. Doesn't mean that it's like that for everyone, but definitely self-care is really important. Um, what would make one of your scores a 10? And so we ask this question in therapy. So like if a client comes in and I ask them on a scale 0 to 10, how are you feeling today? 10 being great, 0 being horrible, and say they tell me a 4. I ask, well, what would make you be a 10 today? What would make today maybe be the worst day? Or opposite, the greatest day of your life? What does that look like? And then even developing like goals. Okay, well, how do we get there? What are the stressors in your life to where maybe we can set boundaries in? Which of these categories would you most like to improve? Work? Okay. Money? Maybe the job that just pays more. Yeah. Yeah. Do you say that you would say work too? Yeah. Yeah. What help and support might you need from others to make changes and be more satisfied in your life? I mean, I guess we could have a discussion with the city to pay more if that if that's our current discussion, but that's above my pay grade, so I'll let y'all handle that. Okay. While the Wheel of Life is a useful tool, it can force you to examine your blind spots and own up to where you need to make major improvements to support yourself and your loved ones. And it can also be used on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis. It can help you build positive momentum and make course corrections as needed. And so I think also, I love the illustration that's at the bottom. Um, is maybe if you take a chance, you can make a change. And sometimes taking the chance gives you the change that you're seeking. But normally, one thing that we see is the thing that holds us back is maybe the fear. And I tell my kids all the time, like, our anxiety is the fear of the unknown. So when we don't know what's on the other side of that door, we're afraid to open the door, right? What if sometimes we take a chance and then we end up meeting the change that we're seeking, but we don't know until we open the door? Does that make sense? Yeah. Sometimes we hold ourselves back and don't realize that we're doing so until we're in situations like this where we're really examining key components of our life and what makes our wheel roll, right? So then when you're thinking about it, what would your goals be? If you did think about where you want to be, what does your goals look like in the next 3 months? I think it's really important. We're about to get to it, but to make goals that are realistic. A part of it is changing your beliefs. It's important to address your mindset about intelligence, your skills, abilities, and your personality. And then, are you a person that likes to try new things? Or are you a person that is afraid to get out of your comfort zone? Because, like I said, what's on the other side of the comfort zone is really scary. Another thing that I also tell clients is nobody can grow when they stay in their comfort zone. So the only way that I can help you move forward is to make you uncomfortable. And sometimes that's even the initial step of coming to therapy. Not everybody wants to come into therapy and, spill their whole life story because maybe it's heavy. And that's okay too. But maybe when you take that step and get uncomfortable, then you gain a new perspective to move forward. What does making a change look like? And so, key considerations to change. First of all, you have to be ready to change, no matter what. Normally, that has to start with you. I used to work in a rehab, and I would tell the clients, like, you're here. And a lot of them would tell me that they were there because their words are, they got a nudge from a judge, basically. And so someone else forced them to change, right? Or to see that maybe they had other potential to change. It's really hard to look at your own circumstances and say, what do I need to change? And maybe that's where therapy would be beneficial, or seeing a provider and seeing like what other areas are depleting because the lack of change. Maybe it's the lack of support. Maybe you don't feel like that you have people that could support you on your journey. Or what if it's that you don't really know how to ask for what you need? Can you all say that sometimes it's difficult just to put into words what we really need? Maybe we don't even know. We just wake up and get out of bed one morning and we're just grumpy. Just woke up grumpy. Like, we don't even know why. We're just not having a great day. In that moment, what do you think you need? Coffee? Music to yell and scream? A long drive? And then it's another part of this is having an open mind to grow. And so changing how you think, possibly, and then committing to putting forth the effort to receive the outcome that you want. Sometimes we get lazy and we think if we just sit here, then we're going to be able to get whatever we want, and it doesn't always happen. But the more effort that you put in, you start to see that the change starts to happen gradually, right? And so for each of us, we have to be willing to put that one foot forward in order to get the change that we're seeking. So then this one. According to the Harvard Business Review, 87% of people do not set goals. 14% of them have a plan in mind but don't write it out. And 3% of them have goals in writing. I want you all to think about that. 87% of people don't set goals. In just these numbers, what category do you all feel like you fall in? 14? You set the goal, but maybe it's just a little bit much to actually put the pen to paper to say, this is what I'm striving to do, but I know that this is what I'm doing. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I could probably fall into that category as well. Anyone else? Do some of you feel like it's more difficult to set goals? Like maybe you don't know what the goal should be? We live in a world of 87% of people. That may even be difficult. Yeah, yeah, possibly, yeah. Writing down a goal matters. The 14% group is 10 times more successful than those who don't have goals. Why do you think that is? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have people that come to me and maybe they're in college. I mean, I remember when I first started college, I didn't know what I was going to major in. I thought at one point I was going to be a pediatrician. Well, I took a far left turn from that. And so I just think that it's hard. I also think that there's like a lack of maybe help, support to figure out like what you really want to do. The 3% group, which are the written goals, are 3 times more successful than the 14% with unwritten goals. Goals that are vague in your mind are vague when it comes time to implement them. Do you all agree with that? Yeah. So then this is what I kind of referenced earlier is when we're setting goals, is using SMART goals. And what that means is the acronym SMART is for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And so when you're thinking about what your goal is, we're thinking about specifically what are you wanting in this goal? Like, why is this the goal? Be specific about the details of how and when so that you have a time frame to accomplish the goal. Measurable. How will you know when you have successfully completed the goal? So like right now, all of you, I want you to think about a goal that you currently have. You don't have to like say it out loud, or you can write it down if you want. You'll be on the 3% category at that point. But I want you to just think about a goal. Maybe it's something easy. Like, I want to pay off a recent bill. Something simple. All right. So then we go to achievable. Construct new small steps that will help in moving you closer to the outcome goal. Realistic. Is your goal realistic? So, like, if I set a goal that said, I really want to go to Mars, I mean, in this lifetime, I'm not going to Mars. That's not realistic, right? Time bound. Give a win for this goal to be implemented and completed. And so think about it. If it's that bill that is hindering you and holding you back from maybe the self-care of scheduling the massage because you got this payment, think about it specifically. When will you know you completed the goal? Well, when you paid off the bill, right? Achievable. Is it possible? Yes. Realistic. Maybe you're setting $10 to $15 out of every paycheck to go towards this bill. And then time bound. Well, I mean, the finance companies automatically put a time strain on us anyway, so maybe yours looks a little different than that. So then specifically, who, what, when, where, which, and why? Basically, that's what it is. It is when you're thinking specifically about your goal, all of those are going to fall into this category of truly trying to figure out how you can meet your goal. Measurable. To determine if your goal is measurable, ask questions like how much, how many, how will I know when I've reached the goal? I think we each know that if this is a goal that we really have and we've already went through all of this effort and we've done the 3% and we've written it down, we're going to know when the goal's completed, right? Achievable. You can attain almost any goal you set when you plan your steps carefully and establish a time frame that permits you to carry out those steps. Goals that may have seemed far out of reach eventually move closer and become attainable, but because you have grown and expanded to match them. What's a goal? So I want you all to also think about what's a goal that you've had in the past that now you've reached? Would you say? Own a house? Yeah. Can you recall a point in your life where maybe you thought, I'm never going to own a house? And then you started to put forth the steps, the effort, the legwork to own a house. Yeah. Any other goals anybody wants to share? Yeah. Glad that's over with. Yeah. But it was probably really stressful going through the process. Yeah. Realistic and relevant. To determine if your goal is realistic, you can ask yourself these questions. Do I really believe that I can reach this goal? Have I accomplished any similar goals in the past? I think we could probably argue that question. Can I identify the conditions that would need to exist to reach these goals? How many of you have reached a goal that you felt like you've never done anything like this before? And you were just also that fear was guiding you. You didn't know if you could do it, but then you started to put in the legwork. Yeah? Time bound. A goal should be reached within a time frame. If there's not a time frame, there's no urgency to complete it. Yeah? And so maybe when you were thinking about the car, you said, well, I'm going to buy a car within the next 2 months. Maybe it was more immediate than that. Yeah. So this is from,
Hey, sent us. First of all, so do you have any questions about goal setting and the wheel of life for Felicia offhand?
no.
I think the city, Faye sent us these a few weeks ago, and I think they're having healing hike on Sunday, which was kind of, mindfulness, that sort of thing. So I think these are some events that are planned via the city that you may or may not be aware of, but it can kind of help your physical and your mental health.
Absolutely. Really good self-care is exercise as well. So that boosts all of the feel-good endorphins that we have that allow us to kind of raise our vibration. Is there another slide after this one?
I'm not sure. No, just a thank you.
Yeah.
So as we said, the phone number, if you want to see Felicia, we all got a free session today. I thought that was great. But just call that number and we'll get it set up. And then, there is the online portal for questions for us or whatnot, but there's not the online scheduling for mental health to this point or occupational health.
Yeah. So if you all do call the office and you decide that you want to do therapy, which is a great first step, normally what happens is you'll let them know that you want to schedule an appointment with me, and then I have 24 to 48 hours to give you a call back. So I will call you back and we will get you scheduled as soon as I have availability.
Yeah. And you can also see me for mental health things, and if I think this is more of a case for Felicia, we'll recommend that and we'll move forward that way. Or I might even say this is something that we might really talk about seeing a psychiatrist or someone else that's more specialized in, if it's a more serious or complicated thing.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate you all taking your time and coming here, and I know you are probably already fans of the health center because you're here. So. And then Anna's here. Hello. She now you still work for the police department? She was she got hired away from the clinic, and Felicia's her replacement, so it's good to see a familiar face.
Does anybody else have any questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys. I definitely appreciate for you letting us come. And if you have any questions, even if you feel afraid to start therapy, you can always call. They'll still leave me a note and I can give you a call back. All right. So I do have people that do that, and I will give them a call back, and maybe it's just a simple question. Okay. Well, I hope y'all have a good day. Work on some self-care.
Happy Friday.